Hello, hello, hello. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. I have to be honest, I didn't have a clue as to what I was going to create tonight. Um, the last few days have been crazy, to say the least. And every time I decided to do something, I changed my mind. So I ended up pulling out the Quiet Meadow. Don't mind me, I'm just trying to find a matching color to this mango medley. I want something that's light. Let's see. Okay, we'll use that. And I decided to do backgrounds. So I stenciled this background and we'll do some coloring with the blends. And this one, hello, Kathy. Hi, Sheila. I do. Facebook user, hello, hello. Is that Karen? And on this one, I did a watercoloring technique, which is pretty fun and easy and pretty quick. Now, this Quiet Meadow will transfer over to the new annual catalog. I can only show you the cover. And as you can see, yay, I'm glad you got it. And if you got your order, Karen, your package from me will get in the mail over the weekend. I'm running behind, but what else is new? But the Quiet Meadow is going to be in the new annual catalog. Why is my catalog spiraled? Because I take my catalogs to Staples and have them add a plastic sheet on the front and a back plastic with the spiral, so it's easier to flip through and it just keeps it so it doesn't get ruined. I can wash it off, or it'll keep my catalog protected. So before we get started, I just want to announce, starting May 3rd, when the new catalog comes out, for all of you who would love, hi Margaret, all the new in colors, there is an awesome promotion with the starter kit. And I would love to have you on my team, whether you want to be a business builder or you would just like to receive the discount on your craft supplies. But if you purchase the starter kit from May 3rd to May 31st, for $99, you'll get your $125 worth of craft supplies of your choice. In addition, you'll get a pack of the new in color grid paper, a pack of the in color cardstock, 8.5 by 11. You'll get all 5 ink pads in the new in colors, and you'll also get an assortment of designer series paper. Now, that is, I believe, a $66 amount of product that you'll get absolutely free just for buying the starter kit. So if anyone would like information on that, feel free to get in touch. I would love to help you, and I'd love to have you on my team. Now, for this one, I used a stencil for the background, and I'm actually using one of the new in colors. And let me just pull out. And this new in color is Parakeet Party. And I'll turn this around, and this is the green. The video does not do it justice. You hit the angry. So, you're angry, huh? No worries. So, this is the Parakeet Party. And I used the color and contour die, like I said, stenciled the background. And then for the little butterfly, this little butterfly comes in the meadow dies. And there's one complete butterfly, and then there's a half a butterfly. And what I actually did was I took a piece of, I think it's called Sweet Sorbet. Yes, it is. The Sweet Sorbet new in color. Let me pull these out. And it is glimmer paper, an ombre glitter paper that's going to be in the new catalog in all the new in colors, which are beautiful. And what I did was I took the paper and I laid my one big die of the butterfly down and cut it. And then I laid half of the butterfly down, just like that. And then I ran it through again and put it down on my plate and then put the paper on top. This way I have two halves of the butterfly with the sparkles or the glimmer. So that's how I did my little butterfly. And then on the second card, again, these are all the dies in the meadow dies. I did a fake watercolored background and then die cut all my pieces, and I'll show you when we get to this card. I'll show you how I took care of the flowers. So let's put this aside. We'll work on this card first because it's the least messy, and I don't want to make a mess before I even get started. So I have the parakeet party, and like I said, the video does not show how bold this color is for sure. I'll have the PDF in the room, posted by tomorrow. But the card base, again, is 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4.25. I am doing well. We've had a busy... Oh, you're here. I had a busy week this week. It was crazy with doctor appointments, but we're hanging in there, thank goodness. Still not sure about the bladder. We did have a colonoscopy, and they took a few biopsies from actually his esophagus and his colon. So we won't get those results, but we're hoping everything's okay. It was tough. And in solidarity, he couldn't eat solids and could only drink fluids, and I actually did the same. And I have to tell you, when you don't eat, that's all you do is think about food. It is crazy. I haven't been on a diet in years, and only drinking fluids for over 24 hours was just crazy. I don't recommend it. Okay, so for this card, you'll notice that I just have the card base, and I really honestly don't like the way it looks. So for tonight's card, I cut an additional parakeet party at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and I'm just going to lay this down on the front of the card as an added mat. You probably won't really notice too much of a difference, but it just adds that additional layer that I like. Okay, so you really can't tell, just a little on this one. And then with the frame, I'm actually going to pop this up. Let me pull out some dimensionals here. And while I'm thinking about it, we'll pop this up right now. Yeah, so it was a long day. I think the prep for his test was what took the longest. He was able to have breakfast the day before the test. And then starting at 12 noon, he couldn't have anything but fluid. And that was pretty tough. All right, so I'm just going to pop that right up on the top of the front of the card. Then I have a layer of basic white, and this is 3 1/4 by 4 5/8. Now this fits right inside this frame, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper, and honestly, I forgot to check to see, and I don't even know if I have. Let's see, I do. Nope, that's the new catalog. I'm not even sure if this is in the recent catalog or not. But I'm just going to lay this down and work without, I'm not even going to tape it down. And I'm going to grab the Parakeet Party stamp pad. Liara is yelling. And I am going to just hold this stencil down. I'm going to ink up my blending brush. And we're just going to, whoops, and it did move. Ink up this stencil. Now you can make this as dark or as light as you want, but you want to make sure that you'll keep it in place and not move it like I just did. Oops, and I did it again. Okay, so then we have all our little polka dots on our layer, and they're all different colors. Some are lighter, some are darker, and that's perfect. And we're going to take this and we're going to glue it down to the front of our card. And I put this layer down too soon, but that's okay. I'll be able to fix it. Just like that. Now I'm going to take a scrap and we're going to grab my memento. And we're going to stamp Thinking of You. I don't like the way that looks. Not bad. There is a little piece of hair on, I'm going to grab a different scrap. It picked up a little tiny piece of hair. All right, there we go. That's better. Thinking of You. And I'm going to grab this frame and we're going to die cut this. So let me just close up my memento here. And we'll pull out our small cutting machine. I'm just going to trim this down a little bit. And let's line this up. Now, if you need to, you can always take some washi tape. If you're afraid the die is going to move. And mine usually does, so I'll just show you what you can do. You can just take a piece of washi tape, get the die in place, and just stick that on there so it holds in place. Let's get our other plate on. So nice and quiet. Put that over there. Put this on the floor. And then we have our thinking of you. So I am just going to grab, if I know where I put it, the brush. I'm not going to add any ink to it. And I'm just going to go around the edges of this frame. And I might have to add just a little bit more ink. And I'm just going around the edges just to make it a little bit green. And you can't really see it. So let me just pull that ink pad out. I'm just going to add some green. Just like that. Now I jumped the gun before adding the Parakeet Party sparkly ribbon. So I'm just going to get a little bit of a measurement here. And I'm going to feed it through the holes of this frame. Now I want to be careful because although it's nice thin ribbon, it also, if I can get it, it also pulls apart. So you can stretch it out if you wanted to. Okay. All right, so now we have our front layer. Now I already, so you wouldn't have to watch me fussy cut, I stamped the flower in Stays On. And I am just going to grab, just got to get some of this stuff out of my way here, my dark and light Flirty Flamingo. Actually, no. Let's grab the Flirty Flamingo stamp pad. And I'm also going to grab my water pen. Now, to get the ink onto the bottom piece, I'm just going to push it down. And then when you open it up, you'll see that the ink gets onto the cover. I'm going to squirt out some water on this ink, and I'm going to just water it down a little bit. Now I'm going to, again, hey Kathy, yeah, the ribbon is pretty. Hi Debbie. Hi Dawn. I've said before, when I see the artist has lines in an image, to me, that means it's shaded. So I'm going to take the ink, and now it's at its darkest because I didn't add that much water. And I am going to come in from the center of the flower, and I'm going to add some dark color to the lines in the flower. And I'm going to do that all the way around. And then we'll go down here. And then on this one. And then I'm going to ink up again, adding so it's a nice dark color. And we're going to add it to these petals, and what I'm doing is going over the artist lines. That's all I'm doing right now. So I'm just coloring with the ink pad in the water. Okay, one more flower down here. Now some of these will be a little darker than others, depending on the artist's lines. And I'm not being fussy. I'm just going over and adding some color. Now for the buds, these also, I'm going to do the petals that are towards the back, darker, and those lines. And the same thing here, around the outside, the darkest. Now that I have all the dark in, I am going to use the really watered down color, and I am going to fill in the petals. Now, if you find that it's too light, add a little bit more color. You don't want it the same color as what you laid down before. You want it to be a little bit highlighted. So I'm just going to quick color this in. Oops, that one's too dark. So like I said, I'm not being fussy. Let me just pull the camera down a little bit. There we go. So just really quick. I think I told you last week, we put the air conditioning in the bedroom. And today it's like winter outside. It's so cold. It's crazy. And then for the little buds, we're just going to do the same thing. So now all the little flowers are colored. There's some shadow, there's some light. You could go back with a gel pen or a white pencil and add highlights if you wanted. And then I'm just going to take the dark parakeet party, and of course I use the nib because it doesn't flow as quick, and I am just going to quickly, and I'm not even, oh, there's another bud. Didn't even realize that. Let me just grab this really quick and fill this one in. Okay. Like I said, I use the nib because it doesn't flow as quickly, but I am just going to give it a quick wash of color with this Stampin' Blend. And I'm not even going to completely fill in the leaves because it'll make it look like it's highlighted. So I'm not really being fussy. The stems, of course, it'll probably be mostly filled in because the nib is pretty thick. And then you have your flowers completely covered. Yes, the weather has been crazy, Dawn. Grandbaby is wonderful. Emma is doing really well. Hi, Pam. So there it is, all colored in. Now for the flower, I stamped this also from the stamp set, and I pulled out my dark and light Flirty Flamingo. And I'm going to do the same exact thing we did with the watercolor, but I'm going to use the blends. So looking at the artist's lines, and again, I'm not going to be fussy, but I am just going to add some dark Flirty Flamingo, hitting all the artist's lines. Just adding some shadow. Now you'll notice that this petal is all the way in the back, so I am adding a line of color just so it shows that that petal is back further. And then I am going to just quick add some shadow with the dark Flirty Flamingo. I'm going to come down here because that is behind this petal. Same thing with this one here. It's behind these two petals. And it looks like absolutely nothing, right? Now, for the first time, I'm going to use the brush end. And I am just going to now color in the petals with the light Flirty Flamingo. And I do color petal by petal instead of going over the whole image. And I did stamp this flower in StazOn. So we're just going petal by petal. And when you add the lighter Flirty Flamingo, it will lighten the dark Flirty Flamingo because there's more alcohol in the light marker than there is the dark. So if you look at it and it doesn't look like there is enough shadow or darkness, you can just always come back with your dark Flirty Flamingo and add some color. Like I always say, in order to see the light of your image, you have to have dark, and vice versa. So we're just going to add some more color in here quick. The light Flirty Flamingo is still wet, so it will lighten up a little because it's going to mix with the light. For the center, let's see where I did with it. I'm going to grab my bronze, and I'm actually just going to color in the center completely. And then I am going to grab, I think I put it away, which would be a surprise. And I did. And this is the Earliest Espresso Stampin' Right marker. And I'm going to use the brush end. And I am just going to add dots at the end of the petals. And then I'm going to just do random dots to the center of this flower, just to give it a little bit of texture. Because I am going to grab my champagne rhinestones, and I'm going to put one of the large ones dead center to that circle. Okay? So now we have the elements for the front of our card. Let's pull that front in again. And again, I put the frame on too soon, but I'll be able to fix it. I weaved the ribbon through the sentiment frame. Now I'm just going to add the dimensionals to hold this ribbon in place, plus it'll lift it up off the front of the card. Okay. I die cut from the old olive one of the, and I don't even know, using one of the dies, and it's in the other card from the Meadow dies. And I'm just going to trim it off just a bit. And we're just going to lay this down across the front of the card. So let's grab that glue. And we're just going to glue this down. We're going to grab the flowers. And this we're going to pop up. But before we pop it up, if you've been here before, you all know that when it comes to the white, I fussy cut this. I stamped it with the stamp. It does not have a die. So I fussy cut this flower. And you know, some of you already know I don't like the white on the back of the image, especially when you're putting it on a background. So what I did was grab my stencil and I'm going to lay it over this image. And you'll be able to see where the stems are. And I am just going to very carefully add some color down this flower. Let's get this over here. Trying to avoid the flower heads, but going over the stems. And now you'll see that, I don't know if you can see it that well, but there are now polka dots on the back of this image. Hey, Kathy, how are you, honey? So it just takes away from that white of the image. So let's turn this over. Let's grab some mini dimensionals, and we're going to add some dimensionals to the back of this image. I could add larger ones, but we have the minis out, so let's utilize them. We're just gonna take these lovely papers off. Does anybody have these little dimensional papers around your house? They get stuck on my feet. All right. So if you didn't see that, I actually put it on the card. It opened this way, so I have to do it this way. So much for paying attention to what I'm doing, right? So now I'm going to lay it over that same line so I don't have to worry about that. Okay. Let's just move it over a little bit. All right. So now we're just going to add this flower, and I'm going to pretty much center it. Just like that. Now that we have that down, let's grab some rhinestones, and I'm using the smaller of the rhinestones, and we're going to add these to the center of the flowers. Just like that. Okay, let's go back to our sentiment. Now I said, I'm just looking, what did I do with my butterfly? Like I said, I should not have added this so soon because I want to put this down towards the end and center it. And I wanted to tuck this under the card. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to grab my ribbon and I'm going to feed it through this frame here for now. And feed it through this frame here. There's always a way to fix something. I always get ahead of myself. Never fails. Okay, so I fed it through. Now I'm just going to grab my glue dot and I'm going to put it underneath the ribbon, just like that. And then let's grab this pokey tool here. And I'm going to stick it right underneath the card. Now, it would be a heck of a lot easier if I had remembered to do this before sticking the frame on the front of the card. But no worries, it's a quick fix. So we're just going to, stick this right under. Make sure it is stuck, and it is. I see the ends there, so let me just stick those under. Okay. And then we have our flower. Here's the butterfly. So now I'm going to grab my butterfly. Here's the base. It must have flown away. Where's that other piece? Got half a butterfly. Where did it fly to? All right, let me quick run this. I need to run one more through. Oh, everybody will be happy to know I finally ordered new plates. All right, so like I said, I took my half a butterfly and laid it down and cut it out. And then I took the butterfly and put it upside down or laid it on the plate and then ran it through on the underside of the paper. So it would give me two halves that are in the correct direction. So now I'm just going to, where the body is, I'm just going to fold it and fold it. And I'm going to grab my glue and I'm going to lay some glue down. Let's grab my pokey tool. And I'm just going to lay this right in the center of that butterfly. It pretty well lines up with its body. And then I'm going to add some more glue. And I'm going to take the other half, of my butterfly, and I'm going to lay it directly on top. And we're going to let that dry. And while it's drying, I'm going to add a little pearl right to the head. And I'm just going to push it down. So let's let that dry. So we'll move that aside. Pull in the front of our card. Now for the flower, I want it to be the same level as the sentiment. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue right there. And decide how you want your flower. And I'll put a dimensional at the top of the flower. So this way, when I put it down, it'll be level with the sentiment. Okay. Now our little butterfly should be just about dry. I'm going to add some glue and we'll stick it right here. I don't want it to be on the sentiment. And then we have the front of our card is done. You're welcome, Kathy. All right. So for the inside, I did something just quick and easy. Let me just grab 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then 5 1/4 by 4. Let me get my embellishments out of the way. Let's pull in this piece of scrap. I'm actually going to grab the flower from the stamp set. Let me just wipe it off real quick, as I did use black before. And this time I'm going to pull in my Flirty Flamingo. And we want to match the front flower to the flowers on the inside. So let's lay it down flat. Make sure it's okay. And I'm going to take and do half a flower in the center. And then I'm going to turn it and move it up. And then I'm going to turn it again and move it up. This way you're seeing different pieces of the flower along the bottom. Let's turn this over. And I'm going to grab my seal because I don't want the glue to show through this layer. We're going to lay this down on our old olive. Pull our card in. And now we can glue this to the inside. Ooh, I put long sleeves on because I thought it was going to be chilly in here tonight. And it is warm. Okay, let's open up this card. And lay this inside. And there we go. So you can see the one I made during the day, the background is a little lighter than this one. So just something a little different. Thank you, Lucy. Thanks, Margaret and Debbie. Thanks, Dawn. All right, so now let's pull in card number 2. And I'll show you the basics and then we'll make a mess. So we have, again, our parakeet party. 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Let's put that aside. And then I have a layer of old olive, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then a layer of basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. And now I'll show you the flowers. So what I did was, for this die here, it has really cute little flowers on it. So I first cut it out in pear pizzazz. Let's just poke those out. And then I cut it out in Magenta Madness. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my thumbs out of these sleeves because it is warm in here. I'm actually going to cut these little flowers off. That's 2. And I should have done 1 in advance, and I didn't, so I do apologize. Now, these 2 flowers are attached, and we're going to keep them that way, but we're just going to cut them apart. And then we got to cut this piece off here. Just like that. I'm going to grab my tool, and then we're going to add some glue, and we're just going to, almost like paper piecing, add this to the pear pizzazz. Grab our glue. Grab this flower. Just turn it and get it to fit on. Now this one are the 2 flowers connected. So let's see which way it goes. And then just lay it down. Now for this card, I took the cinnamon cider and colored some pearls. So we're going to use the colored pearls for the center of these flowers. Okay, so there is our 1 bunch of flowers. We'll let that dry. Now for this die, I did the same exact thing, except, let's see where it is. I did it in the parakeet party, and then I did it in Mango Melody. Now I didn't do it on the card for this afternoon, but right for tonight's card, I wanted to grab some light pumpkin pie, and I'm just looking, my 1 little piece is not here. I'll have to cut another one out. I'm going to take the light pumpkin pie, and I'm just going to run some lines from the center out to the petals. And like, again, nothing fussy. We're just going to add some color. And while I'm thinking about it, let me just make sure I don't see it here. And I don't. I need 1 little inside. And I thought I did cut one out, but let me just run one again through. Take me 2 seconds. I want a center for this flower. I know I probably cut one out, but look how tiny it is. And I just dropped my die. Okay. It's so little I dropped it. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue and my pokey tool. And here's the die that I thought I cut out. And we're going to add that right to the center of this flower. Just like that. Now while that's drying, this little stem also has a tiny little flower right there on the left-hand side. So we're going to trim this off. Oops, turn it over. Let's add some glue. And we're going to add that right there. Make sure it's on there straight. And while just going to add some glue on here. And we're going to actually cut this bottom piece off. And add it right here. So it is a lot of thanks. So I know it is a lot of work, but it does just give these little flowers some character. All right. So now I have another pear pizzazz. And this does have little flowers on it, but I did leave it. I did not add little flowers. I could have added flowers to each one, but this one I'm going to add to the back of the card. And then we have this nice fern, or parsley. It actually looks like parsley to me, but I think it's like a fern. And I left that completely green. And then for the last die, now I hope it's here. I dumped the card out and it's not here. Craziness. Oh, here it is. Gorgeous grape. Now I could either leave this here. Honestly, I don't know if that would be purple or not. This time I'm going to leave it on. I didn't this morning. So we're just going to round this off. Grab our glue and let's just add some glue to this flower. So now we have some pretty spring flowers in awesome colors. So let's just put that aside for a second. Now we're going to get messy. So let's move the card out of the way. I'm going to bring in some Mossy Meadow, Pear Pizzazz, Old Olive, not the Granny Apple. I want, it's right here in my hand, the Parakeet Party. Going to move this stuff out of the way. Hopefully I won't lose my mind and forget where I put it all. Now, to make it a little simpler, I'm going to grab the plate to my Stamparatus. Now you'll notice on the Stamparatus, one side is smooth, the other side has the grid on it. You want the smooth side up, and so it doesn't move. I am just going to take, I'm going to use just 3 colors. I'm going to take 2 of my stamp pads and use that as my base, just like that. Okay, let's grab, I'm using all green, so I'm going to grab my Parakeet Party, and let's open this up. And all I'm going to do is ink it up And I'm going to put some color on my grid here, on my plate. Now I want to make sure that it's going to fill so I can do my whole 5 1/4 by 4-inch layer. And while I'm thinking about it, let me just make sure it's at hand ready before I add my water. What did I do with it? Here it is right there. Okay. So now I'm using my old olive. And again, you can put as little or as much color on here as you like. And I'm going to leave some open spaces. And then I am going to grab my Mossy Meadow, and I'm doing the dark color last. And we're just going to add some Mossy Meadow to the mix. Let me just move this up a little bit. And I just got a piece of paper on there. All right. So now that we have all our color on, I'm going to take my Stampin' Up! Spritzer. Let's move these out of the way. And I am going to spritz my platform. I'm going to grab my 5 1/4 by 4. And I am going to, let's see which way I want it. I'm going to lay it right down on the platform. And then I'm going to lift it up. Okay, so there's not as much color as there is on this one. So I'm going to go back and we'll do this side here. Add some more water. And then I'm going to lay it down on this side. Now you're going to do this. You can do it with any colors you want. And it's going to come out different every single time. Okay. Let's add a little bit more here. And we'll add a little bit more here. And I'm going to leave that just like that. Wipe off our push that aside. Okay, so now this one, it has more white than this one here. You could go back and do it again. I think I'm going to leave it just like this so it's not too wet. And because it's still wet and it's folded, I'm actually going to use some tearing tape. And I'm going to line the edges. Get my cap. Line my edges with tearing tape. This way it will guarantee that the layer will lay flat and it won't curl. And one more. So we're going around all the edges. Okay. Let's give that a couple more minutes and let's pull our card back in. And we can glue this down. This is the old olive 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 on our parakeet party. Okay, we're going to pull in our layer now. Now what I'm going to do is, so I don't mess up, I am going to pull each of these off and tuck it out just halfway, and we'll do it up here. So now I have all my little pieces halfway and outside of the card. And we know that if we get 3 sides even together, the 4th side should also be even. And it looks like it just about is. So I'm going to lay that down and pull my tab. And then this one, I'm going to pull my tab. It's here. Pull my tab. And then it's down here and pull my tab. Now the layer, even though it's still a little damp and it warped because of the water, it's laying flat on the front of my card. Okay. Hi, Julie. How are you, honey? Hi, Kathy. Thank you. Okay, so now we can go back to our flowers and lay them out on the card. It doesn't matter how you lay them down. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. To me, it looks like parsley, some kind of parsley fern. And we're going to glue that right down to the front of the card. Like I said, this piece, that one doesn't want to stay down. I did not cut out a different color for flowers. So we're just going to put this onto the back of the card. So we just want to lay this in the opposite direction. And then I'm going to use this nice bright orange one as my focal point. I'm not really worried too much about the stems right now. We just want to get our flowers and everything on the front of the card. And I want to pop this one up. So let's grab those mini dimensionals again. Whoops. And I could use regular dimensionals on the flower, but I chose to use the minis. Let's get one down here. Let's see if I can fit it. Yep. And we want this one popped right up onto the front of the card. Got them all off. So let's pull our card in. And again, this is our focal point. So we're going to put this right here in the center. We're going to pull in our little pink flowers. I'm also going to pop this up, but I don't have to worry about the stem. So let's get these flowers. We'll get some dimensionals on these flowers. And you don't want these dimensionals to show through, so let's find the deepest, biggest spots. And we're going to lay this one to the right. And I'm going to move it over so this bigger piece touches the stems. And we're going to lay that down. I'm going to put one right under that flower there, hoping that it doesn't show through. Let's get it right there. Okay. It crosses over, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to that stem, and it'll hold this stem down. And then we'll pull in our purple one, and we'll fix this one so it's up over this orange one. And we're going to pop this one up also. A dimensional will only fit right about there. So we're going to do the same exact thing. Lay down your flower. Get it so your stems overlap. And then we can add a bit of glue. I'm going to move that over and hold it just for a second. So now that our flowers are laid out on our card, I'm just going to take my scissors, and the same thing we would do to a bouquet, I'm going to trim off, and this one I might have glued down. Trim off those little stems, okay? Let's tie a bow. This, I'm not really too thrilled with tying bows with this ribbon, actually. So, it's just so small. I guess I could double it and make a double bow, but we just did a single bow today, so we're going to just do our little bow. I'm just going to pull that off my fingers, if I can. See, it makes, it doesn't, I mean, I'm not thrilled with the bows, making them with this. It's pretty ribbon. It's just not good bow making ribbon. Oops. I grabbed the wrong scissors, ladies. Okay. So, one more time. Let's just pull this in real quick. Before we do that, let's see. I'm just going to grab a scrap of parrot and a scrap of white. I have this little tiny love stamp. And I'm going to pull in my memento, ink it up. Don't like the way it's stamped. Try that again. Okay, I guess 1 out of 3 ain't bad. And grab that little die. Hopefully I didn't lose it. There it is. And let's run this through real quick. I'm going to line this up. Little teeny tiny die. Okay, that's good. Let's grab the other plate. Don't want that die to move. There we go. So here's our little tag. Now I'm going to grab this little scrap that I did, and I'm just going to do one in the parrot party. I could edge it with ink, but I decided to cut out an additional little tag. Let's add a bit of glue and grab our love. And we're just going to offset it. Whoops. Just a little, just like that. Let's grab some glue dots. And we're going to add it right here to the bottom of our flowers. Grab another glue dot, put it right on that tag, and add our bow. So there is the front of our card. For the inside, again, we're going to do something quick and easy. We're going to grab this floral stamp. Oh, it's all the way over here. And our parakeet party. Move that out of the way. 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/4 by 4. And I need a scrap piece of paper. If you could see the top of my desk right now, oh my word. And we're just going to ink this up with the parakeet. And I am going to do half or 3/4 straight down. And on this one, instead of using the tearing tape, I wish there was a way to show you the top of my desk right now. Crazy. All right. We're just going to layer that down, pull in our card, and then we can glue. Okay, so there is our second card. So even with the backgrounds so different, I mean, it looks like a completely different card. So here's card number 1. Here's card number 2. And if you place a $35 order by, I didn't even check the date, next Wednesday, I'll send you these make and takes in the mail. I'll have a PDF. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Margaret. Thanks, Debbie. I'll have a PDF posted by tomorrow. I hope everybody enjoyed the cards, and thank you so very much for keeping me company tonight and listening to me ramble. Hopefully I'll be back on Saturday, and don't forget, May 3rd, you can get $65 worth of in color products for free just by getting the starter kit. So have a great night, and I will talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.